Hey, welcome to the Huntsville Hustle podcast brought to you by our friend at Vandy's HVAC. It's way too hot. You got to get that HVAC fixed, okay? And they're the people who do it. They're going to get it fixed, take care of you right away. I promise you. Good folks. Check them out. So I want to switch it up a little bit. Solo podcast, just me, just your favorite ginger out here, because I want to do this one. It's kind of a nostalgia episode right here. So if you're old school Huntsville, you'll get a lot of this. If you're kind of new to it, you may not have heard of any of these places. But I was talking to some folks in my fitness class this week about the breakfast buffet back at Shoney's in the day. Man, you could eat good in the neighborhood with that one. So that one kind of got me thinking about some other restaurants and businesses that are no longer in Huntsville, and these are just a few that popped in my head. But I would love to hear the ones that you remember and recall and miss. So we're going to get into it right now. We're just going with a kind of an overall one. The Mall. This is on University Drive, where Planet Fitness is these days. That was the place for a lot of people to shop back in the day. You might not have known that, but for me, I brought it up because that's where I started college. Did you know Calhoun was a hallway in the mall? I had Western civilization on the right, English literature on the left, and then in between classes, I go play some Nintendo at Toys R Us. Man, it was stuff right there. So, and I was driving to the airport this week and looked over, and Calhoun is at a serious glow up. Well done, Calhoun. So the mall, that was the first one I thought about. The next one, CDs, etc. This is an old school one in South Huntsville back there. That's where I bought my first CD, The Predator by Ice Cube, if you're curious. It had a great selection, really knowledgeable staff. And man, kids missed out on the experience of buying a whole CD because you liked one song and then find out the whole rest of the album was trash. Or sometimes you find some hidden gems on there, and then you'd act like you were Quincy Jones to your friends, like discover new artists, like check this song out, right? And something that stands out when I think about CDs, etc. You may have heard this. There's a rumor going around that if you got caught stealing from that place, the owner's not going to call the cops. He's just going to beat the crap out of you. Kids start these rumors. There's no evidence. No one ever knew anyone that happened, but it's right up there with people waking up in a tub full of ice with their kidney missing. It's right up there with that. Those tall legends back in the day. So next one, Madison Square Mall. That was the spot back in the day. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, that was it. That's where Mid-City is these days, by the way. So, I mean, it had it all, the food court, the arcade, the stores, all that good stuff. But I loved Mark's Imports because that's where I got my ninja equipment. You know, throwing stars, nunchucks. Hey, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was a ginger Bruce Lee back in the day. You probably didn't know that about me, did you? Mark's Imports. You might remember that. And next one, Parisians. It was a favorite for generations back there. Ask your grandma about Parisians. I think Belks bought them out, something like that, but Parisians was it back in the day. And they had that upscale fashion. They got the bridal registry, Christmas shopping. They got great customer service. That was it back in the day. And then Montgomery Ward. Parkway City Place malls, one of the anchors back in the day. And for a long time, for decades, people bought like appliances, tires, clothes, electronics, all that stuff from there. And why do I bring it up? That was my first job. Parkway City Mall. I was working in the warehouse at Montgomery Ward. And you know what I did? Absolutely nothing. Because nobody bought anything when I was working there. I was there during the Christmas time, and nobody's buying anything. I'm just back in the warehouse, twiddling my thumbs, counting the hours until I can go to Orange Julius or Sbarro Pizza. You know, because you're supposed to, someone buy something, I would tote it out to the car, bring it to them. Nobody buy anything. That's why they are now out of business. So, and then kind of a few restaurants popped in my head. The Fog Cutter. That was a seafood restaurant bar kind of. That was a destination that was for big nights, for celebrations and nights out. And people still talk about the Fog Cutter to this day. Fog Cutter. Cutta, if you're old school, right? So, and then Daryl's. For me, when I was a kid, this was the epitome of fine dining. It got all this cool stuff on the walls, like a spiral staircase. It was like a date night kind of place, kind of a birthday spot for the 80s and 90s. Daryl's had it going on, by the way. And then the Mill. This is one of the downtown Huntsville's original hot spots before all the cool stuff was going on. They'd have like live music and a patio and gathering place. It was the Mill, kind of over there near the hospital. The Mill. That's pretty good sandwiches too, if you remember those. And then you may not eat here, but you probably remember Rax's. RAX. It was where Dairy Queen on South Parkway is now. It's kind of like an Arby's, had a roast beef based restaurant. So all I remember, I'm a kid when this is going on, it's the kids' meal. Uncle Al E. Gator. Come with these plastic alligator cups. That's all I remember. It's probably full of like Agent Orange or something like that. But man, I love those alligator cups. So, and then Mullen's Restaurant. That was, man, it was a classic breakfast place. If someone grew up here, chances are you ate there with your grandparents. So Mullins, man, people still talk about Mullins too. And another one they definitely talk about, Zesto's over there in 5 Points. They got dip dogs, burgers, fries, milkshakes. It was a Huntsville staple. Like I said, it's still a legend to this day. And then Subzone, if people talk, you talk to some Huntsville restaurant, you do like some residents, and they're like, "What's one of the best baked subs of all time?" Subzone's got to come up. I love their taco sub. I know it doesn't sound good, man, but taco sub was fire back in the day. And then Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. That's where Bonefish is now. That was my second job after my illustrious career in Montgomery Ward. This was the next one. I was making pizzas. I was washing dishes. That was until I ended up being a cast for 6 months. Then I got banished to working in Gaddyland. I still have PTSD from Gaddyland. That's the arcade and the tickets and all that. And I was hand counting. They didn't have machines back then. I was the machine counting these tickets. And then these kids can't decide if they want a lollipop or an eraser or one of those wacky wall walking things. Oh, man, there's bells and whistles going off. Kids are screaming. It's a nightmare. If you didn't live it, it was a nightmare. Okay. And then Mr. Steak, they had great steak. That's it's in the title right there. But man, people love the warm bread just as much as they love the steaks. And then J. Gregor's Pizza. That's a pizza place back in what's called the old heart of Huntsville Mall. And why I remember it, they had the first fruit pizza I'd ever had, and it was delicious. And also, they had a concert one time with Hayseed Dixie, a bluegrass band that plays AC/DC. Man, there's like 20 people in there. It was awesome. Okay, get your fruit pizza, listen to a little Thunderstruck on the what are those things called? Banjo. Man, couldn't pull it. Anyway, so had a little solo episode. I would love to hear your remembrances from some old Huntsville restaurants and business from back in the day. And you didn't have a rapid fire this week, but I still want to tell you about Huntsville Hub. They're a great sponsor. And if you want to go, if you're a solopreneur or if you got some small teams you're working with, don't go work on your kitchen table. That's where you're supposed to eat. Don't go to the noisy coffee shop where you can't hear anybody talk. Get your desk, meeting rooms, community, your business needs, and you can book a tour on huntsvillehub.com. You mention the hustle over here and you get a free day pass. I appreciate you guys tuning in this week. Can't wait to hear your remembrances from back in the day, and we will see you next week on the Huntsville Hustle podcast.